Okay, welcome everyone. First of all, we're just gonna go over some of the settings that I'm using right now. You can look in the description and you'll see the specs for my PC. So it's a I'm running an RTX 2080 Super. I'm still running an i7 7700. Um, going to be upgrading in this month to the Ryzen 3900X. I'm running 16 gigs of RAM, but I'm going to upgrade to 32 gigs when I get the new Ryzen. Run at 1920 by 1080 and it's 144 hertz because I'm using LG Ultra Gear 27-inch game monitor which supports FreeSync, G-Sync up to 144 hertz and HDR, even though I'm not running HDR. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go through some of the settings here. So I have just this turned down so it's easier to hear my mic audio. And we're going to go into graphics right now. And this is how I personally have it set up. I have the visual effects set at high HDR. I have HDR turned on when I'm not streaming, but for some reason Shadowplay didn't like you to stream with HDR enabled, so I turned it off. My texture quality is high. My anti-aliasing's 4x. Number of world objects maximum, and reflection detail I just have it minimal. I can probably up it, but it doesn't really bother me. I'm using VSync only because my monitor's at 144 hertz, and it's really not going to bother anyway with VSync being on. Um, Okay, so network, I don't have anything changed there. Data output, I just have the showing talkback for the frame rate. Joystick, I'm still using the HOTAS X, probably the best joystick I've ever had. I did have the HOTAS something or another, and I got rid of it because it was just, I didn't like it. I liked this one better. Um, One of the things I did want to change was I wanted to change this to, which is the number 8 button right here. I want to change it to starter, engine starter 1. And we'll change the one next to it to engine starter 2 for right now. So we'll apply that. I've got the trigger, which is number 2, toggle brakes effort. Can we change it? Whole brakes regular. Let's do that. So we'll change that to whole brakes regular. Um, Top button is servo disconnect, sort of disable the autopilot. Hat switch is viewing, of course. Number 6, which is this button here, is to trim up. Number 3, which is on the right side of the stick, is used to trim down. Going over to the throttle assembly. Number 4 is does nothing. I usually had that for brakes, but I've switched it to the trigger on the joystick itself. 5 does nothing. Haven't figured out what I want to do with that yet. That slider, it says view left, view right. I'm just going to disable that because that gets on my nerves sometimes. Um, where are we? So number 5, which is right here, is flaps up. Number 6 is flaps down. Number 4 is doing nothing. And number 7, which is on the back, which is right here, is toggling the landing gears. So that just goes up how I've set up mine. Of course, you know, the twisting the stick left and right is the yaw. I'm not using rudder pedals or anything like that. That's about it. So joysticks are already calibrated. I've run this a couple times, and I am using my Aerobask aircraft. So I'm just going to take I don't know which one to take. I still mainly fly just the Aerobask stuff. I do love flying the standard aircraft as well that come with it. I'm not much on the airliners or anything like that. So we'll just go ahead and take the Viper jet because we're just going to go and just fly around for a few minutes just to see how the performance is on 11.5 beta 1. So we're going to fly from Orange County Airport, which is slightly west of me, about 20, 30 miles. I'm going to use the real world weather and real world time. So we'll just go ahead and start the flight. I do have Xenviro installed, but as of right now, Xenviro is not compatible with X-Plane 11.5 Beta 1. So that's unfortunate, but you know, what can I say? I'm not the developer. So wait for this load. The scenery files take a while longer to load now because the Vulkan shaders actually load in right now. They're being compiled right now as it says it's reading new scenery files. So your performance may vary. If you have a CPU, so my 7700 boosts to 4.2. It's not overclockable because it's not a K. So that means I'm pretty much CPU bound. And I'm not GPU bound. So the 2080 Super is more than enough to run this. And as a matter of fact, most graphics cards are probably going to be more than enough to run this at pretty decent frame rates, as long as it's, you know, a 2060 or above, or 1060 above, or anything like that. So right now you see Xenviro is on. I don't have it disabled yet. So I need to go up here and disable it. If not, it's just going to stay up there and aggravate the hell out of me. So I've gone ahead and disable it. It's overcast. We're sitting here on the ground at orange, and we're getting 67 frames a second, which is true 60 frames a second because the monitor is 144 hertz. So we'll take it just this, if you haven't seen it before, it's like kind of like a little F5 Tiger. It's a little small light jet that Aerobask put out. So let's go ahead and close the canopy, remove the chocks and blocks. I'll go ahead and get it set up to start the thing up. Let's go ahead and get our lights on. And they are right here. We'll go ahead and throw our strobe on and throw well, we don't need a strobe, we'll just use the beacon. So we need the fuel on. The throttle position needs to be, it's standard at cut off. So we just need to click on it to get it to come off cut off, and then we can initiate the start sequence. So let's just hit the starter. Probably not fail. Still not any better, is it? Is it? Alright, so anyway, so we had the plane started up. Looks like the audio issues are fixed. And we are going to get this thing off the ground. We don't need the igniter anymore. We do not need the fuel pump. We do need the generator on. Air brakes don't need to be on. Flex trucks deployed. Canopy sealed, so we need to pressurize the cabin. So we're just going to go ahead and hit pressurize. And that should be all we need. We don't need a pitot heater or anything like that. No defrosters. We'll go ahead and throw our taxi light on, nav light on, and strobe on. We will fly up to DC just to check the performance. And so we'll keep this at Reagan National Airport. And we should be there in about 3 minutes at max speed. So let's go ahead and take off. Where the right here to my right is where the parachute, so they have jump lessons and everything at Orange Airport, and that's the hangar for, I think it's Orange Adventures or something like that. That's Route 20 to my left. See now, if you look up at the frame counter, it says 68 frames a second, and the frame time is exactly mirroring the CPU time, which means we're CPU bound, which means I'm being limited on my frames by the CPU. So, because the CPU is so slow. So we're overspeed on M1 and 2. exteriors. autopilot now. Just free fly. Obviously, just check out the Argent. New York City would probably be better to do this, but don't really feel like flying New York. I don't know where anything is there. So there's the Memorial Bridge going to the Lincoln Monument, which is right there. I don't think they have. Did they show the Jefferson? Jefferson Memorial is right here. They're not showing it. So we're gonna fly over southeast, come in around the Capitol. So this is Southeast DC to the left, and Anacostia River. There's the Capitol building. We would not do this in real life, of course. I haven't invested in any of the scenery packs because I don't, once Flight Simulator 2020 comes out, I probably will be using that when I use this channel. Because for me, I do probably 99% of all my flights are general aviation, so that right there is Union Station. So that to me is more important than be able to see accurate representation of what's on the ground. So we make this broad left-hand turn over DC, over northwest now. Put that to our left, DuPont Circle. So just cities in front of us. The key, Francis Key Scott Memorial Bridge, Georgetown's to our right. The National Cathedral should be to our right, but we can't see that either. Like I said, even with the AutoGen set to max, I'm still getting 40 frames a second. Like I said, it's almost surely CPU bound. 4.2 gigahertz on this i7 7700. So there's the Pentagon there. Make a shallow left-hand turn to get over the Wilson Bridge, and then we'll land back in DCA. One of the things they did add the VRAM profiler. So this is the VRAM, how much VRAM? It's currently used on the 2080 Super, so it's only using 2.28, 2.29 gigs. It seems. Back our throttle and descend a little bit. Turn the reverse to our left. Fort Hunt would be to our left, right here. Go ahead and make a steep left-hand turn, bleed off speed as we descend here. So we line up to land here at Reagan National Airport. probably don't need it. It's 11,000 foot one way. It's maybe longer than 11,000 feet. Trying to slide it in. This little thing is so maneuverable, it's kind of hard to land. A lot harder to land than the Cessnas. Hit the wing strike. Really bounced. Like I said, I hate landing this thing. It's not easy to land. Alright, so that's the first test of it's plane 11.5. It is, depending on your equipment, it is better, but like I said, if you need a faster CPU, even though I'm using it's an i7-7700, it's still CPU bound, and that's what's holding it back. And the more complex aircraft that you use, you can find somewhere to park right here. And the more complex aircraft that you use, the more CPU processing power you're going to need. So the faster, more cores, which assuming Vulcan's using more cores than it was on OpenGL. Let's go ahead and turn all this stuff off. We'll talk. We'll just switch back over to a Cessna. I want to see Pipstrel though. So yeah, the faster your CPU, this better performance you're going to have, especially once you start getting a third-party aircraft that, like the Zibo and the Airbus 320. Those have really complex flight control systems and really complex instrumentation. So you're looking at having to process the simulation itself, then having to process the aircraft's avionics. And that just requires a lot more processing power and a lot more cores. So the faster your CPU, the better it's going to perform. Like I said, I'm getting 70 frames a second on non-complex aircraft, but if you had my setup and you still had the complex aircraft, the RTX 2080 Super is only going to help you so much. You need to, for already, the 2080 Super is already bottlenecked by the 7700. So, the 7700 makes X-Plane CPU bound. So, if it was faster, it would perform better. But like I said, I have no complaints. I will be upgrading this to the 3900X pretty soon. So we'll run another test then and see how it is as we wait for this Panthera to load up. I haven't loaded the Panthera yet in the game, so that's why it's taking a little while longer. So we have the Panthera up now. We're at Stafford, I think. Yeah, we're at Stafford. So there's the Pipstrel Panthera, probably my favorite GA aircraft to fly on. The little, piston engine. Yeah, and when I started earlier, it said it had problems with some of the avionics. So let's go ahead and see. Maybe that's because the updater hadn't run yet. So we have the GPN, I mean, the 750 and the 650 Garmin. We still have the Dynon avionics for the PDF, the PFD, the flight display, and the multifunction display on the right. And continue here and continue here. And fuel pump. And let me see if I can remember how to start this thing. Let's start off on the left. Make sure full rich. And the key to ignition. So let's grab the key in ignition. And let's try to start it. See if it'll start. Oh, chocks are in place. Gotta get those off. So chocks removed. Let's go ahead and give us a full tank of fuel. Not that we're going to need it. And we should be able to start it now. Probably should have had some lights on. So go ahead and turn them on. Strobe, nav, recognition. Close this. We'll just take a short flight. We're just going to go to fly straight to KCGR, which is just Culpeper Regional Airport, and that'll be it. We'll fly direct to KCGR, which is Culpeper, and that'll be all. Let's go ahead and get this stuff turned on. Fuel pumps on, auxiliary, we don't need that. WAC. That, none of that. We're not going to need flaps. So it's 20 nautical miles to reach Culpeper, so we'll just a quick hop. So and we don't need the fuel pump on anymore. Take the parking brake off. There we go. See, in this aircraft, we're only getting 46 frames a second. It's a little bit more complex because you have the 750 and 650 in here. That PFD and MFD. Still greatly CPU bound. There's a taxi line out here. Taxiway, we'll take off on 3-3, I think it is. So I'll be really interested to see how this is going to perform on the 3900X when I get it. One thing that I don't have in the description is that this is on a 2 terabyte M.2 drive. So the M.2 drive is running at 3.5 gigahertz. 3.5 gigahertz read and write was the last time I tested it. So that could be one of the things helping also. So I don't know. Go ahead and get this thing in the air. Gear up. And we will go ahead and go autopilot. Climb autopilot. Have switch this over to sky view. You want to climb out and indicate airspeed mode and then climb up to 1,000 feet. And that's it. These Aerobasque aircraft are all easy to fly. This is why the only ones I ever fly, third-party aircraft I ever fly are Aerobasque. Always something to fly. And fun to fly. You really don't need to go up to 4,000. Go up to 25. Still playing my indicators. About 120 knots. The neatest thing out of the Panther is pretty neat because you can run it 10 gallons an hour. So I'm going to go lean up peak. So you can see right here, peaked at 280, 290. Back down. About 10, 11 gallons an hour. Still doing 170 knots, probably got up to 180 knots, maybe. And we got about 5 minutes to pull up over and land, and that'll be it. They did add oxygen to this thing in the recent update. Didn't have it all in a while, so in a future video we'll see if these things can fly LNAV now. They used to not be able to. Another future video we'll be having is landing on aircraft carriers again. So we're going to try that again. Have a few more minutes. About 2 or 3 minutes. See what we see there. There it is there. We're going to turn the autopilot off and then let's fly. See if it'll hit us all the way through. see if the iOS version works. Power pack is engaged. Back off. Mixture for rich. We have more here. Use right-hand turn with all speed. Put one notch perhaps. C. we can turn all this off. Avionics, that's off. Put the key back in the ignition. I mean, back in here. We're done. Forgot we had these. Okay, so takeaways. Vulkan uh, Vulkan does improve the frames, though you're still going to need a high speed, high clock speed CPU to run more complex aircraft. So the more complex aircraft you have, the faster you want your CPU to go. Any GPU over the 6 gig to 1060 will be fine for low to medium settings. 1070, 2070, 1650, the newer RTX card should be good for medium settings to high settings, and high settings to, this is 1080 now. High settings for 1080, 2070, RTX 2070, 2060 Super, I think they have a 2060 Super or above. And then for 1440p or 4K 2080 at least, and 20 Super or 2080 Ti. But yeah, you're still, the number one thing you need more than anything for X-Plane is going to be a high clock speed, high core count CPU. So, like I said, I'll be getting the Ryzen 3900X with 32 gig of RAM here pretty soon. Just the motherboard, processor, and RAM. And I'll keep my 2 terabyte M.2 drive, which is what this is running on right now. Like I said, it has a read-write of 3.5 gigabytes per second. And once I get that in, I will let you guys know, and then we'll do this again. But other than that, thanks for watching, and you guys have a fun-filled, corona-free day.